Chapter 7. Making the most of supports. Coordinating and managing support.
When a parent's having treatment, it can vary enormously. So at one level, you might have a woman who's had breast conserving surgery and some radiotherapy that she can even fit in while the children are at school. At the other end of the spectrum might be someone who has had leukemia, who's required bone marrow transplants and been isolated. So I think the big thing for families is to know what's going to happen, to be prepared, and to try to keep routine. That is really reassuring. It's very grounding for children. Unfortunately, there are some families who really feel as though they've got to do everything on their own, or maybe they don't have access to people who can support them. But I think often this is the time to call in the troops, to actually call in people who can assist to get a child to soccer training or swimming and things like that, so that the fabric of normal for these children can be sustained, because that will help them feel optimistic that this is survivable.
I think the first thing that parents need to do in order to make the most of their supports is to find out as much information as they can from their doctors about what treatment lies ahead, what type of treatment, what the side effects are likely to be. And this will enable them to plan appropriately and for them to have a think about what sorts of supports would be most useful. So some of the things that I think are really useful to do are, number one, to ask a family member or a friend to coordinate offers of support. Many parents are lucky enough to belong to a broader community, a school community or a church community, where people are offering food to pick up the kids from school, to take them to after-school activities, and it can be quite overwhelming to coordinate all of those offers. If you have someone who can do that for you, that's really helpful, and also means that you don't have lasagna every night of the week for dinner because there's a roster. The second thing that's really useful to do is to have a friend or a family member coordinate the flow of information. When you're going through treatment as a parent, it can be exhausting to continuously have to update well-meaning friends and family about your progress. So if there's someone in the family or a friend who can keep everybody else updated, that tends to be really helpful.
We had immense help from our family. When you don't have family, I think that the routine would help. Assistance from friends and neighbours take that, and there may be a situation where you can't necessarily be able to stick too close to the routine, then something that resembles their daily life will work as well. Kids are quite resilient. I think it's important to remember that and to know that you are not doing any lasting damage. It's for a period of time. They will bounce back, just as you will too.
I guess my feeling was that I was going to be a bit absent over the next few months, because of everything that was going on with Michael. So I really tried to pull in that support group, and it was about letting everyone know, letting my sister and my brother and my parents and, my nieces and nephews who are all there, just, letting them know. I might miss things. I might miss things with them now. So if there's any, and the school,
Very much, yes.
If you're noticing things that's happening with my kids, let me know. Not because I'm not seeing it, not because I don't want to see it, but there's a lot going on when there's a diagnosis like that.
If you can draw up a roster and communicate that roster to whoever's willing to provide that help. That'd be a good step, because a lot of times where you come across people, I'll help, and then you've got it inundated with several people bringing food or turning up to do your cleaning up at the same time, and if you haven't organised that well, then there are some days you'd feel nobody's turned up and nothing gets done. So if you can get a roster done and organise that, and importantly communicate that to the people who are trying to help, that'd be a very good idea.
Remember, Seek out help. Be informed about your treatment so you know what support you may need. It can help to allocate someone to coordinate the flow of information about your treatment and how you're going, and coordinate offers of support. The school community can be a valuable support. When to seek support for your child.
Parents often ask me when is the right time to call in more formal help for their children. Usually when children are feeling anxious or worried about a parent's diagnosis or about things that are going on at home, they regress a little bit. And by that I mean they might start sucking their thumb again or wetting the bed again, small children. If this happens just a couple of nights, that's okay. Children respond well to more cuddles from their parents and to asking them about what's going on for them. But when these sorts of behaviours go on for a prolonged period of time, and it's really disruptive to the child's functioning at home with friends, perhaps at school, then I would encourage parents to talk to their GP, to their treating team, or to the local maternal child health nurse. I think it comes down to asking yourself, what is the severity of the symptoms that my child is displaying and how disruptive are they to everyday life? I also think that parents know their children best and parents' instincts are rarely wrong.
I noticed about 12 months after I'd finished treatment that one of my children would get terribly upset when I said goodbye to her at school in the morning. She would cling to me and wouldn't want to leave me, and it was really, really difficult. And eventually she told me that she'd heard about a couple of children at school whose mums had died of cancer, and it came out that she was terrified that if she said goodbye to me in the morning, she wouldn't see me in the afternoon. So I tried to help her as much as I could, but then I realised we weren't getting far enough and she was still incredibly distressed. So I sought some help for her. So she got some counselling, someone else to talk to, and a lot of her fears came out. She was given strategies to manage those, and it continues to be a work in progress, but she's certainly much, much better than she was.
Remember, parents know their children best. Children may benefit from additional support if they show regressed behaviour, and this goes on for a prolonged period or is disruptive to their functioning. When adults need support.
You can feel really overwhelmed as a parent, not only in your parenting role, but in your role as a patient. And sometimes those feelings are more than stress and actually would benefit from professional intervention. Lots of parents, lots of adults have difficulty asking for that type of help, and some see it as a sign of weakness. But actually asking for help is a sign of strength. And we also know that children of parents who are depressed tend to do worse. So it's a way that you can model to your children a way of coping with a difficult time in a healthy way.
I think for the partner of a person with cancer, it is really important that their emotional needs are acknowledged, and particularly in the context of family, because it will often be the partner who is stepping up to the plate, particularly with children, and supporting and nurturing them.
And he recommended very early on that I needed to go and see someone to talk, so some counselling for myself. For the first 12 months, that was probably every few weeks. I guess it was non-threatening, a really safe place for me to talk about that and discuss my concerns about Lisa's well-being, about my concerns about the kids, and then just even concerns about me. You know, I probably became fourth on the list within our household. I was worried about everyone else and not me, and so that allowed me to sort of have those discussions and put myself in a better place to keep helping, the rest of the family.
Remember, asking for help is a sign of strength, not weakness. The partner of the parent with cancer may need support. Children of parents who are depressed do not do as well. Talk to your treating team or GP if you think you need additional support.